All right. I'll be starting from the beginning. From Okay, so this part is I try to bring in my data sets. I'm sure you're familiar with this part already. So I've already selected the three worksheets, that is the three tables we want to work with. So I'll just click on transform data. And as I've said, this will automatically take us to Power Query Editor, where all the data transformation will take place. So I'll just follow through all the processes we did today so you can also follow through. So I'm still waiting for you to load. Okay, so our data sets are loaded. So the first thing I will do is all this data profiling, all this data quality that we are seeing, I want to remove them because of course you won't see them when you open your Power BI. So this is exactly what you will be seeing. Now you can navigate through all these tables. You will see something like queries at this left part. So this queries also means table. So it also means table in Power BI. So we have three tables. That's why you can see three in this bracket. So if you want to check your orders table, you click on orders. If you want to check on returns, if you want to check on users. So now let's quickly do some data cleaning and data transformation. The first thing I say we should always check whenever we import data to Power BI is the column headers. So ensure your column headers are properly written. But if you look at this users table, we can see something like column 1, column 2, which is not really making sense. So now if you look at this first column, that column 1, we can see region and we can see manager. So we can easily know that the column headers should be region and manager. So that's where I explained the concept of using first row as headers. We want to use these first rows, this region and manager. We want to use them as our column headers. So you can actually do that on this home tab by coming to this transform group. Remember when I was explaining the interface of Excel, I said we have tabs and we have groups. So all these division lines, all these entries like that are divided by division lines, they are called groups. So you come to this transform group, you will see use first headers, just click on it. And Power BI will automatically do that. Or let me cancel it. I cancelled it in the applied steps. So if you click on these parts, it will expand and you can choose the one you want. We want to use first rows as headers. So that's the first thing we did. The second thing we did on this users table is that we we added another column. So that's where I explained the concepts of adding column. So we clicked on this manager table, then we come to this add column tab at this top. We come to the add column tab, then we clicked on duplicate column. We want to duplicate the column. So like a copy of this manager table. That's why we clicked on it. Now, so this manager is going to be like manager first name. Okay, let me bring this up. So I want to rename this column header. So the way to rename column header is you double click on it. Once you double click, you'll be able to edit it. So manager first name. Enter. So that's it. Then this one too, I want to edit it to manager last name. So I'm only using this to explain the concept of adding columns to your data set. Now, I also said this the other time that I want to change the table name from users to manager. So to do that, there are two ways to do it. If you come to this right part, this property part, you will see this name, users, that's the name of the table. You can just double click on it and you'll be able to edit. Or come to this left part, this queries part, double click on it also, you'll be able to edit. So let's just change it to manager, then you click on enter. So that's it about it. All right, so the last thing we'll be doing here is all these last name, let's change them. So we'll be changing variables. So how to do that, I also explained. Sorry. So once you click on this crease, you just right click, you click on replace value. So let's use Evans for the first one. Now for the second one, you repeat the same process. Click on it, right click, click on replace value. Then let's use Rogers. So you click on OK or you click on enter. Now for Sam, we are going to use Smith. So you click on OK or you click on enter. And for the last one, we will use Jackson. So now I've explained the concept of changing your column header, renaming your column header, adding a column, and also replacing values in a cell. Remember the meaning of a cell when we were doing Excel. We said cell is the intersection of row and column. Like when you have a row and a column. So if you look at this row, guys, we can say it falls under manager column, manager last name column, and row 2. So that's why I'm calling them a cell. So if you want to replace any cell, you want to replace the value, you right click and replace value. So now let's move to our orders table. So in the orders table, that's where I explained the concepts of filter and sort, like sort and filter. So we used the state column as an example. So just scroll to the left till you see the state column. So we have state or province. What do I feel like I've seen it? Okay, so this is it. So we want to change it to state. We don't want this state of province. As I've said earlier, if you want to change your column header, just double click, then you edit. So you only need state of province. So you click on enter and that's it. Also, I explained the concept of filter, that if you want to filter, that is, if there are specific columns you only want to see. For example, we only want to see 5 states. So you just click on this filter icon that looks like a funnel here. Just click on it. Then you select only the countries you want to see. So instead of you unchecking everything one by one, just click on the selector. It was like this before. So just uncheck this selector so that everything is going to be unchecked. Then you can go ahead and click on any state that you want. So I gave us an example of Arizona, Florida, California, I think. So let's select New York and New Jersey. So New Jersey, New York. So let's stay with these 5 columns. So that's how to use filter. So you'll see that every of these data that you are seeing, they fall under those 5 states that we've selected. I also use this state column to explain the concept of sort. That if you want to sort alphabetically, maybe in a descending order or in an ascending order. So let's go back to our home tab. So you'll see this sort here. So this is for descending order and this is for this is for ascending order and this is for descending order. So if I click on the first one, A to Z, that's ascending order. So you will see the changes from Arizona down to the last part. So I've also explained the concepts of sort and filter. And I also made mention that anytime you're working with anytime you're transforming your data, you should always check your data sets and make sure your data sets are you should always check the data types. We've explained the concepts of data types, and if you actually check, all our data types are in the right data types. For this product name, it is a text column. You can see the ABC here. For the product base margin, you can see it is a decimal. That's why you can see something like 1.2. For region also, it is text. For state, it is text, and so on and so forth. So the next thing I'll be explaining now is data profiling. That's where I was showing data quality. Like data profiling is just like a way for you to get a quick overview of your data, like to know if there are missing values and all of that. So to do that, you come to view. If you click on column quality, so this will quickly tell you if you have empty values in your data. I'm waiting for it to load. So if you look at this, we don't have empty values in our data. So now I also explained something that suppose you have missing values. There are different ways to treat missing values. Now, if it is a text column like this other priority, if it is a text column, you can just replace it with unknown or not mentioned or something like that. That's because it is text. So when you are working with maybe your visualization or your analysis in Power BI now, let's assume, okay, let me use this other priority as an example. Okay, thank God we even have it not specified, thank God. So now Instead of, this is not specified, it is possible that these columns were empty before. So let's just assume these columns were empty before, but instead of we leaving it as empty, we now replace it as not specified. Now, if you click on this funnel here, okay, anytime you see list may be incomplete, just click on load more. Now, if you look at this, we have critical, we have two critical. They are still the same thing. They are the same spelling. So we have critical, we have high, we have low, we have medium, we have not specified. So this is to tell you that anywhere you see not specified, they will also have their own group. We have critical, we have high, we have low, we have medium. So this is not specified also. Power BI has also classified them as a group. So anytime you have a column in your text, a text column that is empty, you can just say not specified or unknown. But if it is a value, if it is a number, what's it called now? If it is a number column, yeah, if it is a number column, you can leave it or you can replace it with maybe the mean of that column or the median of that column or the mode of that column. When we get to advanced data cleaning or data transformation, we are going to explain more about that. All right, so the next thing I'll explain here is the column distribution. That was where I was explaining the concept of distinct and unique values. Distinct and unique values. And I explained that distinct value are, okay, let me start from unique. When we say a value is unique, that means that value is not repeated. But for distinct, that means the value may be repeated. I don't know if you get. That was when I made an example of students in a classroom. Let's assume we have 5 students in a classroom. 2 of them are bearing Adeshewa. Then we have Tolu, Tope, and Taiwo. So we can say we have 4 unique names. No, 3 unique names, which are Tolu, Tope, and Taiwo. Adeshewa is not unique because we have someone else that is bearing the name. Like more than one person is bearing the name. So it is not unique. When we say something is unique, that means it can only appear once. But when we're talking about districts appears more than one. Districts can appear more than one. So in that example of a classroom that I was given, if we want to count the number of distinct names that we have, we will say we have Adeshewa, Tolu, Tope, and Taiwo. So Adeshewa, we are going to count just one instead of we counting 2. So we are going to count 1. So we are going to say we have 4 distinct values. Now let's look at this row ID. You will see that it says we have 1000 distinct and 1000 unique. So that means we having 1000 unique simply means all these numbers you are seeing here, they are unique. They cannot be repeated. In fact, they are not repeated. Let me give you an example. Click on this filter. Now, uncheck all. You just select any number, just select 1. You will see that it will be that one. It cannot have duplicates. Can you see? So that's to tell you that they are unique. Now, you might be thinking, why are they still distinct? If they are distinct, I don't know if you are going to guess this. Distinct is like we are still counting. When I gave example of those students in a classroom, I said Adeshewa. We have to Adeshewa, Tolu, Taiwo, Tope. Now, when we want to count the distinct names, we still count that Adeshewa, but we count it as one. So we are still going to count. So we have Adeshewa, Tolu, Taiwo, Tope, that's 4. Do you get? So here we have 1000 distinct values and 1000 unique. So that's to tell you that all the values here, they are unique. So we are going to need this idea when we get to data modeling, because that's where we are going to come up with the idea of primary key and secondary key. And foreign key. When we get there, I'll explain better. Now, this other priority, we have 6 distinct and 1 unique. So that means it's only one. What's it called? It's only one entry here that is unique, that is not repeated, and on and on and on like that. So now we are done with our data transformation here. So let's click on close and apply. So to click on close and apply, you go to home, you click on close and apply, and this will take you to Power BI desktop. So let's wait for it to load. I'm still waiting. So all the changes we made in Power Query Editor, they are going to reflect in our Power BI desktop. So you can just forward all these waiting part. There, I cannot pause the video. That's why I would have paused it. All right. Okay, so we have it here. View recorded files. I'll just cancel it. It's the continuation of what I was doing when we were doing the class. Okay. Now, let me click on Control S to save this work. So I'll just save this. What should I use to save it? Superstore. So that in case if my laptop even shuts down, I'll be able to have my work saved. Do you get? So I won't have to go back again. All right. So let me quickly brush through the interface of Power BI. As I've said, if you look at this left part, these are for the first one, you have your report view, and here is your canvas where your dashboards will be. This is the table view where you can check all your data sets. This is the model view where you build relationship between your data sets. Now, if you go back to this report view, okay, this this right part, this data view is where you can always, this data pane, we call them panes, all this one PANE. So this data pane is where you can see your manager table, all your tables, so you can see all the columns in case you want to select your columns when you want to start your visualization. All right, so the next thing I will be explaining now. Okay, this is the visualization pane, and these are the tabs. We have the home tab, insert tab, modeling tab, view tab, and all. So now we are going to be moving to data modeling. Let me check my to confirm if we are not missing out on anything. All right, so now we are going to be moving on to data modeling. Let me share my slide. Okay, good. So data modeling, as I've explained, data modeling in a simple term, it simply means a data model is how we organize and connect multiple tables of data. That's just the definition. There's nothing complex about it. Like the process of we combining data sets, the process of we connecting multiple tables of data. So let's say, for example, you have like 5 tables in your what's it called? We have like 5 tables imported to Excel. So imported to Power BI. So how will you tell Power BI that okay, Power BI, these tables are connected? So that's where data model comes in. So that's now let's look at the analogy I'm giving here. That think of a supermarket. You have sales record, customer details, products information, and maybe returns like return table. So instead of keeping all of this in one giant table, we split them into smaller tables and connect them. So let me explain. Like we have a supermarket now. We are going to be keeping record, our sales record. We are going to be keeping record of it. Maybe the price of products, quantity that was sold, the total sales, the profits that we made from it. Maybe if there was discounts, we also included as okay for this particular sales. This was the product percentage that was enjoyed, stuff like that. So we have a particular record for it, a separate table for it. We can also have a separate table for our customers' details. That's where we have like customer ID, customer name, customer address, customer segment, and the likes, like every information about our customers. We can also have product table. Now, if you want to link all these tables together, that's basically data model. That's what data model is. And the reason why we do the data model is this. Now, let's assume you have a sales record and you also have product table, like you have a sales table and you have product table. Now you want to know, let's say in this product table we have a column that is showing product category. So let's say we have 4 different products in that supermarket. So now we want to know what's the total sales that was generated from these 4 products. So let's say the 4 products, we have bags, we have clothes, we have shoes, and we have toiletries. Yes, let's use those 4. So if we want to know what's the total sales that we got from bags, from toiletries, from clothes, and what's the last one? So that means we need to take the column, the sales column, total sales column from the sales table, and also take the products category table from the products table. But if we don't build a model between them, if you don't build a relationship or connect them together, Power BI will not be able to do that. That's the reason why we use join in Excel. But instead of using join now, though we can also join tables in Power BI, but it is easier and faster with Power BI. So the only reason why we can join tables in Power BI is that if you are trying to create a model between two tables and there is no what's it called? There is no primary key in a column. We are still going to get to that. Don't worry. Let me not get ahead of myself. Okay, so let's continue. So I said, okay, these are types of data that we have. We have two types of data. I think I also explained this. So the first one is facts table. A facts table is the main table in a data model that stores the quantitative data, that is measures and metrics about a business process. Let's still continue using our sales. So let's say a supermarket now. The table that is showing their sales alone, that's their facts table, because that's what is showing us what's happening. If anybody comes and say, okay, what total sales you made today, they will go back to their sales record to tell us. So that's the facts table, like the table that is showing exactly what is going on. The table that is showing exactly what is going on. So that's why we say they are usually long because they have many rows but narrow, few columns. The reason why they have many rows is because as you are making sales, you keeping the record. Let's say 50 customers came yesterday, you keep the sales record. If those same 50 customers also come today, you are still going to add that record, like that sales, what they buy today, you are still going to add it to that record. That's why it is always long. It always have many rows. Compared to dimension table provides context, that is descriptive information for the fact. So most times it's just describe stuff. Now, like this sales data set we are using now, let's assume we have a table that is showing our sales record, which is our facts table. We can also have tables that will be showing customer details. That can be a customer table. Now, this kind of tables, they are not always much, because look at the instance I gave there. Let's assume 50 customers came yesterday. They bought stuffs from us. We record the sales and we record their customer details, like the name and everything. Now, if those same 50 customer comes today again, we don't need to start keeping their record, their details, maybe their name and everything, because we already have it. Though we are going to keep record of their sales, but their personal information, we already have it. So that's why that table is not always long. It's just like, let me also use bank so that it will not be like I'm only using supermarket. For every bank now, bank have the details of their customer. So let's assume they have a table that is showing they have a table that shows the details of their customer, like your name, your BVN, your address. That's their customer table. That BVN is like the primary key. I will still explain primary key. Now they can have another table that shows transaction, maybe your daily transaction, your monthly transaction. That one they will keep updating it, because the more you do transaction, the table keeps updating. God, I said I don't want this video to be more than 40 minutes, but with the look of things, let's continue. So that's the difference between dimension table and fact table. So dimension most times shows information about customers, about products and all. Why fact table shows the quantitative one, those that can be measured. Most times it's always numeric. Alright, so let's explain the concept of primary keys and foreign keys. Now, let me use that bank to explain this. Or let me start from this slide. I said a primary key is a column or set of columns that uniquely identifies each row. Remember when I explained unique, when we say something is unique, that means it cannot be repeated. Let me firstly use a classroom as an example. Let's say a classroom of university students. It is possible for us to have 3 students bearing the same name, but it is not possible for them to have the same matric number. So that matric number is like the unique identifier. It's like the primary key that differentiates each and every student. My name is Adeshewa. It's possible we have more than Adeshewa in my class, but in fact, my full name is Adeshewa Adekunle, right? It's possible we have other people bearing that Adeshewa Adekunle, but that thing that separates us is my matric number, is our matric number. So that matric number can serve as the primary key. Let's use bank as an example again. Remember we said we have two tables for bank. We have the one that stores the information of their customers, and we have the one that stores the transaction details of their customer. Now, for the table that has their customer details, it is possible for us to have customers that have the same name, but it is not possible for us to have customers that have the same BVN number. Same thing with account number. So we can say account number and BVN number is their unique identifier, is their primary key. Now, on that customer table, that's BVN number and account number. That's why we have it here, or set of columns. So BVN number and account number on a bank customer table, we can call those two columns primary columns or primary keys. Now, on the transaction table, that table that is showing transaction, we can also have customer ID there. I don't know if you are following. So that anytime this customer is making transaction, it's only that person's ID or that person's BVN that will be showing that, okay, this particular transaction belongs to this particular person. We don't need to write his address. We don't need to write his full name. We don't need to write his email address. We only need his BVN on the transaction table. So that BVN on the transaction table is a foreign key. That BVN initially is meant for the customer's table, but on the customer's table, that BVN is a primary key. But the moment it comes to another table, it becomes a foreign key. Such that when we want to connect those two tables, we are going to use that primary key and foreign key to build a connection between those two tables. Remember I said before we can join two tables or before we can build models between two tables, there must be a common column. So that common column is what we call the primary and foreign key. On one table it is primary key, on another table it is foreign key. So that's the concept of primary and foreign key. So when we get to Power BI now, before we can build models, before we can join two tables, there must be a common column. Okay, I think that's all for my slides. Okay, that's all. Now let me bring us back to Power BI so I can explain better. Now let's go to our data model. You will see that this return table, it was not connected. That's because Power BI cannot find any connection. I said Power BI will automatically build connection between your tables, right? So now if you click on this line anywhere here, okay, this table, these others, is not showing properly. Like everything is not showing. So I want to expand it so that all the stuff will show. Now if you click on it, you will see that region and region are showing. That's because region are common to both sides. I don't know if you are with me. Now let me click on, I want to double click on this line, this particular part. So now that I double click, you can see what we have here. Or should I go back to our table? I want to explain the concept of relationship very well. You know that if you look at this first table, this is the others table, and this is the managers table. Now look at this, okay, it's only West that is showing here. It's not showing properly. This is what I want to explain. That now let's assume this West that we are seeing here, this first West, let's just assume that it is East. So now Power BI will automatically know that anywhere you see East on the others table, the manager is Chris Evans. I don't know if you get me. On this others table, we don't have Chris or Evans or this manager's name, it is not there. But anytime you see East on the others table, that means the manager is Chris Evans. Now, we already have this. Let me go back to our table to show us properly. This is the others table. Let's look for region. I can't see region now. What's going on? You might have seen it. Seriously, I've not seen region. Okay, this is region. Why do I have only West? Okay, we have West, East, and South. Let me scroll down a bit. Okay, so this is to tell you that This particular West, this particular column, this one that has West, this first column, the manager is the name of that manager on the manager's table. I hope you're not getting confused. I've forgotten the name on the West, I mean, of the manager on the West. I don't have their name of it. So let's assume the manager's name for West is Adeshewa. This is to tell you that all these West that you are seeing, their manager is Adeshewa. So in order for us to avoid repetition of names or repetition of columns, that's one of the reason why we have relationships. So that's basically the concept of relationship. Now, if you look at this return ID, I mean return column, this order ID, although we have order ID on this order table, but the values are not the same. The values are not the same. The values are different. I'm looking for a way to show you that. That's why Power BI is not joining them together. That's to tell you that they don't have any relationship in common. Let's go to transform data. We are going to do two things in Power Query Editor right now. The first thing is this orders table. Remember I said this orders table, it is not a fact table and it is not a dimension table. Remember the meaning of facts and dimension. This orders data itself, it is a large data set because it has both fact table inside it and it also have dimension table. Remember I said fact table most times are quantitative, they'll show you figures. But this one, it is showing us sales, which is the fact table, like the other details. It is showing us the product detail, which is meant to be a dimension table. And it is also showing us the customer's information, which is also meant to be a dimension table. So now we're going to go to, we'll be going to Power Query Editor now to split this data set. We want to have our customer table separately and we also want to have our product table separately. All right, let's quickly go to, so come back to the home tab, then transform data. This battery, can I trust you? Okay, we are done with all this data profiling. So I will just come to view and uncheck it. I want to see my data alone. So we are back to home. Okay, the first thing I will show you, I said you would notice that this return and this order, they were not linked in Power BI. That's because their customer ID, they are not the same. Let me show you. This is the customer ID. Is it customer ID or order ID? Return. Okay, this is the other ID that we have here. Let me source this. Let me source this in ascending order. So we already sourced this in ascending order. Now let's go to others. Others ID. I will also source the other ID for here in ascending order. If they are the same, we're supposed to have the same value. Can you see? We have 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 blah. So they are not the same. They are not the same. I'm trying to check for something. Okay. Another thing, remember I said before you can connect two tables, there must be a unique column. Let's go back to our view. Now let's check this contribution column distribution for others. Now if you look at this column distribution for, let's come back to manager. Show us column. Now okay, I want to show you the reason why others and manager were able to connect, whereas return was not able to connect with any of them. Now if you look at this manager, come here. Hey, I hope I'm using the right words, please. I'm sorry about that. So this region, you will see that we have 4 distinct and 4 unique. So that's to tell you that this region is the primary key for this manager's table. I don't know if I'm communicating. This region is the primary key. What we call primary key, it means that every data in that column must be unique. I don't know if you get me. Let's say, for example, this central, it appears in 2 places on this table. Maybe I will explain this thing in Yoruba. But let me try. Okay, let's say we have this central in two rows. It has two rows here. Power BI will not be able to determine. Please let me come again. Let me come again with that concept. Remember, I said the other time that okay, for this east now, in this other table, anytime Power BI see east on the other table, it will automatically know that the manager is Erin Rogers. Now let's assume we have two rows that is showing east here. Two rows. We have east. Erin Rogers is their manager. We have another east. Adeshewa Adekunle is their manager. Power BI is going to get confused. It won't know the one to assign to this order, the other table. So that's why anything you call primary key, the entries there, the data there must be unique. So we have four unique, which means all these four, they are unique. So that's why we could build a relationship. But if you come to this return, this other ID is also unique. But let's go to this. Okay, the other ID here is unique. Now let's go to this others table. Let's check the other ID for this other table. Okay, let me try and sort it. Have I sorted it? Yes, I think I've sorted it in ascending order, but let me do that again so that you will see what I'm trying to do. Load more. I'm trying to show you that the other ID that we have on those two tables, they are not the same. I don't know why. That's how the data set is, but they are not the same. That's why exam Power BI is not seeing connection. It's already sorted because if you look at it, it's already in ascending order. So you can see 193, 358, and all these numbers. But if you look at this one in this return, our other ID is starting from 65, 612, blah blah blah. Now let's look at 3,300. If you come to this other table, you won't find it. 3,300. You will see that it is not here. So you can actually try and compare. So the other ID here is not the same as the other ID in the return table. So that means although these values are unique, but if Power BI is now looking for other ID on other table that has 65, it will not see anything. If it is looking for for the row that has other ID 612 on this other table, it will not see anything. So they are not related. The point I'm trying to bring out is that if you call something a primary key, the values must be unique. Although on the other table where it is foreign key, it doesn't have to be unique. That's why we have one-to-many relationship. Oh God, I feel like I'm going more and more. This is supposed to be the advanced part, like all those types of relationship. So let me just pause it there. Just know that for primary key, it has to be unique. But for foreign key, it doesn't have to be unique. Let me explain that part so you can understand it. Now let me go back to this. Okay. We already know that for West, the manager is William Jackson. So for West, the manager is William Jackson. Now let's come back to region here. Now the region here, West, we already know that the manager for this one is William Jackson. So for this row, the manager is William Jackson. For this row too is William Jackson. So that's why we have one-to-many. On the manager's table, it is one. But on the other table, it can have many rows. Like that one West in manager's row can be assigned to many rows here in the other table. Let me come again. Like we have different types of relationship. This one is one-to-many. One unique value on manager table can have multiple results on others table. So now, anywhere you see West here, you will know that we have three these things, but they are not unique. That means they are repeated many times. So for this row where we have West, the manager is William Jackson. For this one, so the manager is William Jackson. For this one, so the manager is William Jackson. That's why I said it has to be unique. That's a one-to-many relationship. That's a one to many relationship. Now let's assume on that manager table, let's assume those values are not unique. We have two managers for West. Power BI will not know the one to assign for this one. It will not know the one to assign for this one. It will not know the one to assign for this one. So that's why I said it has to be unique. I want to believe you understand that. I want to rush now. This is 40 minutes already. All right. So I said we can split this. Okay, let's remove all this data profiling. We are done. So this will be the last thing we'll be doing. This other table, in case you want to split your table, it is very simple. It is just copy and paste. This other column, just click on it like this. Right click, you will see this copy it, then just click on Ctrl V. It will be pasted. Or if you don't want to click on Ctrl V, I will do that one later because we are going to do two tables. So now we can just rename this. This is going to be a dimension table. I already explained how to rename your table. Just double click dimension for customers. So now you will see that all the tables are actually here, but we only need columns that are related to customers. So what do? Come to this manage column group. We are still on home tab. Come to this manage column group. Now you can choose to remove column. If you click on this remove column, we've selected row ID. So if you click on remove column, that row ID will delete. So you can be doing that one after the other. But to avoid error, I always use this choose column. Just click on it, choose column. So it will tell you can see choose the columns to keep. So you only select the column that you want to keep. Anyone that you want to delete, don't select it. So let's uncheck. Then you can select any column you want. We want columns that are related to customers. So we can say customer ID, customer name, customer segment, region. This is like where the customer is based, city, postal code. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all. So, okay. Dimension customers. Dimension customers. Now let's create another one, which will be for products. Click on it again, right click, copy. So if you don't want to click Ctrl V, just right click again, you will see paste. Can you see? So just double click, dimension product, click on enter. So I want you to try this, although I'm still going to do it. Come to manage columns here, choose columns, and uncheck. So we have just 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. But I don't like the arrangement. I want product name to come first. So to do that, just click on the name here and just left click and just drag it. So product name, product category, subcategory, and product whatever. So we are done. But I want us to check, is it possible to connect these two tables with any of these other tables? Let's firstly click on close and apply. Let's go and check in our data model. If it is possible, Power BI will automatically do that for us. So let's play around that. Okay, Ctrl Z. Ctrl S. I'm trying to save so that to avoid story that touch. Okay, let's go to data and model view. Can you see? So now let me just drag it. You can what's that English? If you don't want to expand, what's the opposite? You can close them, shall like those data pane and property pane. Don't mind me. And mathematics I study. Okay, so this is to tell us that there's a relationship between order and manager. We already know that. Now there's a relationship between manager and dimension columns. So which column do they have in common? Still region. Wow. Okay, that's true. That's true. Region. So for this one, so I'm sure it's region. Yeah, region. Now we have our two tables left. We have our 2 tables left. This thing I want to do now, I didn't mean this is a call. We would have done this together because this is like a place of rubbing minds together. I'm trying to see if we can build a connection between these two, like have columns that will be able to connect with them. But before that, let me show us the reason why we connect. Let's go to our visual pane. You know, these 3 tables are connected, order, manager, and dean customers. I mean the customers table. So let's say for example, we want to know we are not supposed to start this. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Let me not. I feel like we've done a lot already, so let me just leave you with this. Let me leave you with this. Now, let's try and play around these 2 tables. Let's go to Power Query, transform data. We are done. Don't worry, we are done. We are done. So this one I'm doing is just additional stuffs. Okay, Dean customers. I think the Dean customers is related to manager's table. Now we're left with return and Dean product. Now the reason why we are unable to connect with any of these tables is because there's no unique table here. If you easily want to know that, come to your view, come to the column distribution. There's no unique table. Look at this one. Out of 655, only 407 are unique. The rest are repeated. The rest are repeated. Same thing for this one. There's no unique value. Same thing for this one. There's no unique value. Same thing for this one. There's no unique value. So that's why relationship could not come up between them. So let's just end this class here. I'm trying to think of if there is a way to, bring in a column that will be common. Don't worry, we're going to discuss this in our next class if it's possible. I'll try and work around that. But this is the concepts of data modeling, connecting 2 tables, and I mean more than 2 tables and all. And I've also explained the concept of, like, I've explained a lot of concepts. So let me not make this video longer. So I'll try and work around, I'll try and play around these 2 tables, this thing products and this manager table. So tomorrow we will continue. Thank you so much, Ma. I really appreciate this for allowing me to at least make a screen record.